Alrighty, folks, I want to shout out the team at Bigger Pockets. They obviously run the largest real estate forum on the planet with the most active, most users and all of that. And the one and only Mike from Rentometer found a question or query on there that we are going to riff on. Mike, why don't you kind of set the stage for us, and we'll kind of go through it together.
Great. So I was reading a forum post this morning. It's a new investor. They are looking at a property and they're pretty much on the verge of buying it, but they just were trying to figure out how to get rent data and how to think about setting rents. And as I said to you, the forums at Bigger Pockets are great. There's always a lot of thoughtful responses and people really trying to help. And so I read through the thread and I took out some themes from the thread and just thought they're important things to think about.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I like what the people do at Bigger Pockets. Obviously, a lot of people start there. I was a featured writer way back in the beginning with Josh Dorkin, wrote a blog post for years, once a week for the main channel. And, again, I love to see the activity in them because, again, they do bring on, and really they're even focused on new investors today. In fact, they just had on a good friend of mine, the lumberjack landlord, who really talks about what he calls a rent box, right? You've probably heard me talk about a buy box because I think that's where it all starts. But, to Matt's credit, you only buy once, but you're going to own it for years. So kind of understanding a rent box, very similar to buy box, but is where new investors should go. So we could talk about that, but I'd love to see you kind of pull on this thread because I think Rentometer is one of the great resources from this or for this. But why don't you pull on that string a little more?
Yeah. So without diving right into the data, setting rents and understanding rents is part science and part art. There's a quantitative, hard numbers are important, but there's also a qualitative aspect of it. So, for example, the first theme was what kind of investor are you? Yeah. Or what kind of owner are you? Not investor, like you said, you own the property. What type of owner are you? Do you want to max out the income and the profit? Or do you want to set the rent at maybe a level where people aren't going to be so apt to move? So set it a little maybe at market or a little lower than market and go for retention. And that's one of the most important factors because you could talk to 10 people and it's identical property and they might give you different rents based on their own philosophy.
Oh, I agree with you 1,000%. I've met all kinds throughout the year. Some folks are trying to maximize the rent to make the spreadsheet look good. And then there's the people like me who've owned a bunch of units for a bunch of time. And we're like, no. If you really want to understand what kills landlords, it's turnover. So I strongly recommend that you don't go for maximizing rent, but you go for something below that because, keeping a tenant for an extra year and their rent's $25 or $50 based on the area lower, you come out a massive winner. Because again, turnover is what kills tenants. But again, I think that's an important conversation for new landlords because I think a lot of them get lost in the spreadsheet and they're like, what's maximum rent? $1,500. But that's only going to get, somebody that's going to be there probably a short time, probably also have longer time filling it because, vacancies, time to fill, days on market, whatever you want to call that. It's going to be very different at 1,500 max versus 1,425 or 1,450. So there's lots of considerations. I like where you're starting. Yep.
And I also think you have to take into account where we are in the cycle.
True.
Because 4 years ago, maybe you could get 10 or 15%, and now you're getting close to that turnover break even.
Yeah.
And now your base rent is 10 or 15% higher. You're not getting 10 or 15% higher now. So you really need to think about that retention aspect and making sure you hold on to that.
I have a real world example here. There's a house we own. It's a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath. I think it's under 700 square feet. It's on a big lot, it has a yard, fenced yard. So it's good for maybe, parents and a kid, but it's not massive. And before the pandemic, I want to say rent was $1,250. It went as high as $2,100 during the craziness of the pandemic. because everybody wanted a yard and all of that. And now it's like 1,700. So we've come off, I don't know, what is that, 20%?
Yep.
So again, it's a real life example, and you know, you really got to watch what part of the cycle, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah. So the second theme was just understanding your asset. Are you the best property in the best location,
Yeah.
or are you the worst property in the worst location? If you set those as the two endpoints, there's an infinite number of answers in the middle. But you got to pick where you are on that spectrum, because that also will dictate where you set your rent.
Yeah. The other thing I think about here is, you know, most people think about rentals and they're running comps. It's a 3-2, you know, it's a 2-2, it's a, you know, whatever. But there's these things that I call, yeah, but I'm on a busy street. Yeah, but I have a carport. Yeah, but I don't have a backyard. Yeah, but. And again, you've got to understand those, because again, sometimes when you just do the raw numbers, like I have a 3-2 and this zip code, this size, you're missing the yeah, buts, right?
Yes.
And yeah, buts can be positive or negative.
Yes.
And you got to remember those things.
Yeah. And that really will dictate where you are on the spectrum. And you're only kidding yourself if you're not honest about, you know, the asset that you have. So, you know, and the way you do that is you find rent comps in the area, and you find the ones that are closest to yours, and you try and just, you know, be honest and say that one's a little bit better than mine, and that's the number they're getting. You know, it's a better location, better amenity, better the yeah buts, right? And so you know, just put yourself on the spectrum and figure out where you fit, and then find the comps that match, that are the best comparisons, and you're going to get close. You are going to get close at that point.
No, I like it. Again, this is all about being a new landlord, not just believing one number. It's definitely more art than science, right? There's definitely a science component to bare facts, but you've really got to know your market, right? I talk about a buy box and looking daily,
totally.
and, you know, but the same thing for a rent box. And again, you're going to be an owner for decades, hopefully. So understanding your rent box and understanding the science behind it and data is important. So keep it going.
Yeah. And then the last thing is, you know, so one of the comments in the thread was Rentometer is great, you know, use Rentometer, but
of course,
but don't use just Rentometer.
Yeah.
And somebody might look at that and say, are you insulted by that? It's like, not at all. I'm the first person to tell you it's a triangulation game. You have to get information from everywhere, and you have to take information for what it's worth, you know, and it's not all, there's no such thing as perfect information. But you should talk to other people. So the last theme that I had was talk to professionals who know that market. Talk to the agents, talk to the brokers, talk to the property managers, the inspectors, if you know some inspectors, and just try and get a lay of the land. And if you don't know that market, to your point, you've been in a market, you understand that market, so you're one of the people you want to talk to in your market. But you got to talk to people in that market.
Yeah, what I would tell a new real estate investor that's kind of trying to figure this out is I would go pretty much like the comment said. I would go to Rentometer first, because what I see Rentometer as is kind of like a metal detector. It's telling me where I need to dig deeper, right? Again, it's a triangulation, but you do need something that says, you know what, there might be something here. And if you've ever used a metal detector, it doesn't always find good stuff. Sometimes it's bottle caps and, you know, things like that. But there are some times where it finds jewelry and things of that nature. And that's how I see Rentometer for the new real estate investor. Is it's that metal detector. It gets you that little beeping sound that says dig deeper here. Sometimes you find gold. Sometimes you find a tin can. And you know, that's okay.
I like that. I'm going to pass that on to Izzy. We are the metal detector.
I think so. Certainly for new investors. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would lean into that.
Yeah, and we do, and you hit it on the head. We are the best first place to start, right?
Absolutely.
And you can get a lay of the land. We have different tools that you can understand a market. We have this report. It's called a 1 to 4 report, and you can run it for houses and apartments. And the first thing I do, if I don't understand a market and I'm looking into something, I will run the 1 to 4 report because we have data samples. So how many data samples do we have? If we have more houses than we have apartments, then I know it's more of a SFR market. If there's more apartments, but then you can also go and look at the 2 bedrooms, like 2-bedroom apartments. That's where the volume is. Or are there more 1-bedroom apartments? And so you can get a good overview. So we have lots of tools like that to help get an overview, help you understand the market, and then like you said, once you start to hone in, dig deeper.
Yeah, I love it. Again, I look at Rentometer as the metal detector. It's something where a lot of new investors should start, especially if you're in the very beginning. You're not even sure where you have a buy box yet. You need to be poking around and figuring out where the numbers are, and wait for that beep, beep, beep to tell you to drill deeper. Again, then you triangulate, then you go talk to people, then you network, then you ask other investors, you ask, so on and so forth. So very, very cool. Mike, do you actually do a lot of writing on Bigger Pockets yourself? Are you more of a responder, or what do you do?
I don't. As a service provider, I try and stay out of it. I should.
Makes sense.
I don't want to
I get it.
Be careful with self promotion and things like that. I like those guys. I've always liked that. You
do a lot of stuff
for years.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to get on the wrong side. I probably should do a little more though.
Well, the good news is lots of people speak very highly of you and they comment for you. So you're doing the right thing probably. So staying away from self-promotion. You don't want to get your hand slapped. So that makes total sense to me.
Right. So
very cool. Well, if somebody wanted to check it out, where do we send them?
Rentometer.com. If
Very
you're
simple.
just looking for comps, you land right there. If you're looking for deals, go to our yield tracker on the menu. We just released a new product also, or feature called Atlas. You can get rents on just about any boundary in the U.S., whether it's a state, a metro, a city, a neighborhood, a school district, or a zip code. Real time.
Cool. Very cool, folks. If you are out there watching this, do me a favor, go check out Atlas, one of their new features in Rentometer, and leave comments below. Let us know what you thought. Give it a play. It's a brand new software release, a new feature function. So we'd love to get some feedback from you. Let us know what you think of Atlas. Thanks, buddy. It's been fun, Mike.
Thank you.